Hello, I'm Jim Bryan with the Beachcomber Family Center for Addiction Therapy, and I'm sitting here today with Bill, a longtime alumni of the Beachcomber. Bill, exactly when were you in the Beachcomber?
Jim, it was the fall of 1981. It was the month that Anwar Sadat was assassinated. It was I think it was October 1981.
1981,
Yeah.
so that's over 20 years.
It's 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
That's a long, and you've been
30
sober
years.
ever since.
I have. It worked. Showing up at the Beachcomber that long ago, at the time I would have bet you that it wouldn't work, but it did. And here I am 30 years later.
30
so
years
far,
later.
so good.
And
At least for today.
your addiction was alcohol?
It was.
It was alcohol.
Well, it was a combination. It was alcohol for all of my adult life to that point. And I was 40 years old then, all right, so 41 years old. When I came to the Beachcomber, alcohol was my friend and my foe all of those years, until the last year or so when I thought what I had was a brain tumor. Ran to doctor after doctor, and of course they put me on all of the zines, Transine, Thorazine, Compazine, Valium, Librium, you name it. I only did what the doctor said to do, and it was just terrible. It just buried me. So it was alcohol and prescription drugs, but the prescription drugs were kind of after the fact. They just happened as a
So your real problem was alcohol.
It was alcohol.
Bill, the other day you were telling me an interesting story that happened to you 30 years ago here at the Beachcomber involving you and my father.
You bet. I'd been here about four or 5 days in treatment. I arrived on a Thursday, and this was probably the Monday morning following.
Mm-hmm.
And your dad was cooking breakfast in the kitchen, and I knew he'd be there. And I had this all planned because I'd had enough. I knew exactly what was going on, and I got the idea, and I had to get back to work. So I talked to your dad. I said, "Can I see you for a minute? And if you don't mind, I'm ready to leave." And
So you already knew it all.
Oh, you bet. And I had it down pat. And of course, I don't want a refund or anything like that. I just want to go home and get back to my business. I'm feeling really good.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. And he said,
And what did my father say?
well, he said, I remember laughing. It was like, I can just see his face. And he said, "Would you do me a favor?" I said, "Sure, of course I would." He said, "Can you wait until after breakfast?" He said, "Let's have breakfast, and then I'll see you off." All right, words of that fact. I said, "Of course." And then somebody came in and helped out with the breakfast because he sat down with me, and we had breakfast. All right,
breakfast together.
We had breakfast together, and it lasted 30 or 40 minutes at the very most. And in those 30 or 40 minutes, your dad convinced me to stay and why I should stay. And I can tell you that I still get chills thinking about it because it was a turning point in my life. Because had I left, all right, I know that it would have just been a matter of days or weeks, and I'd have been on the treadmill again, and anything's possible. And it's 30 years now, and so far so good. I haven't had a drink. And that very moment, we have in recovery, at least I've learned through work in the program, that we have moments and times that make a difference. And that was one of the biggies.
That was one of those moments.
Yeah.
And that's you've been able to use that moment these last 30 years.
You bet. And I use it a lot. And I remember what he had to say and how important it was, and how important it was that I give it a full shot and stay the 28 days and why. And then getting involved with AA as a result.
Yeah, Bill, sure. I thank you for telling us that story. When you first told me, I've got to hear that story one more time.
Yeah, and I still get chills thinking about your dad, and saved my life, without question.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank
my
you
pleasure.
for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Delighted.